Hey guys, welcome back. Let's go ahead and knock out some more PSA cards, or, cards to send to the PSA. So make sure you're guessing those grades. Now, we're starting off pretty strong, in my opinion. I think this is a lot of people's favorites. That's definitely one of my favorites. This is definitely a really cool card, and if you don't know, this is one of the, it's kind of hard to find. There's a difference between the Japan one, actually, and the English one. The Japanese one actually has tombstones and stuff in it, and is based in a cemetery, while in the English one they did away with that. So this is Sabrina's Gengar, and there's a swirl right above his head, and we can see the background, and he's got a circle on him. I think that might just be his cheek. I don't know. But whatever. Nonetheless, there's a little bit of sort of folding over at the top. It's a little off center left to right. Top to bottom is pretty fine. Other than that, though, there's not a single scratch on it. Looks like another swirl going up there. This is one of my favorite, ones that I more appreciate with a darker hollow background, but it kind of makes sense. He is a ghost type Pokemon. And we'll check the back out in a second. Just making a note of something. Does have his rarity symbol, sadly. On the back, pretty clean. Looks like the centering's better on the back. And a tiny bit of whiting. We are going to guess a 9. I would love to say 10, but it probably just isn't. And I can't tell how you tell if a Japanese card is first edition or not. I don't know how many of those I may have missed. I'll have to look that up later. I think they still just did the big one for Japanese cards, but I'll have to take a closer look. Nonetheless, though, yeah, moving on. Now to an English card, still another, I'd say, a fan favorite, Dragonite, who for Fossil had a pretty awesome hollow background with it being multicolored. The light shining down on him. Very minor scratches, still pretty good. Bordering looks pretty solid, maybe a little heavier on the top than the bottom, but really no nicks on the front besides the hollow foil. You can see there's some wax scratches, but nothing intense. Corner's a little off. And there's some whiting at the bottom. We're going to guess between 8 to 9. It's probably an 8, but we're going to guess between 8 to 9 for him. Let's see here. Get him put back away. And if it seems like our videos have been kind of non-stop PSA videos, it's just we're really getting ready to send in a big order. And it's basically step 2 of our plan of buying and selling Pokemon cards. We originally really weren't going to get everything PSA rated, but nowadays it definitely seems like it is worth it almost no matter what. As long as it's an older card, and the condition kind of varies by which card it is specifically in terms of whether it's still worth it. Okay, so centering's off low left to right, but this is still a little bit more of a rare Typhlosion. Centering's a little off, but other than that, there's really no whiting. Everything seems to be pretty solid. We're going to say 9. There's some super minor stuff, but it kind of all adds up. So we're going to say 9 for this Typhlosion. And then, of course, we're going to follow up this Typhlosion with a Typhlosion for Typhlosion, as we like doing Typhlosions after Typhlosion for Typhlosion to Typhlosion to give you that Typhlosion. You'll see what I mean in a second. Alright, so this is probably one of the big ones that everyone wants. Of course, the max way you want this one is first edition English hollow and, and primo condition. I had the opportunity to buy one, but I was a little slow. The price was right, that's for certain, but he wanted cash only, and I kept saying, why don't you have a PayPal, but whatever. Pretty good hollow background. I think there's a swirl, surprisingly. Generally, this one has there's almost one swirl going on. Card looks like to be in pretty good shape. There's like a minor little thing there, a little flare. A little bit off-centering left to right and top to bottom, so it is off-centered for sure. Same with the back, but there's really no issues. Some super minor whiting. We're going to guess 8 to 9, and it would be a 9 to 10 in our guess if it wasn't for how bad the centering is. It's pretty rough. And then we're going to follow that up with another Typhlosion. Now, this one gets weird because there's a lot of different labels you can pick for it on PSA. And you can pick Typhlosion, you can pick Typhlosion Premium File, which is because it doesn't have the symbol and came in the binder. But I think you can even pick no rarity symbol, which if you're going to pick one, that's the one to pick, because that makes it worth the most. And it doesn't really change anything up in terms of what the card actually is. So yeah, pick that one if you're going to. I believe this one was pulled right out of a binder. Everything looks pretty solid for centering and the mirror finish. The back also solid, so we're going to say 10 for this one. And it's really funny too, because even though they're both from Neo Genesis, they both use the exact same number, 157. I don't know if they meant to do that. So I wonder how it's going to go when I send it in. Okay, then we got a Jungle Japanese Scyther. And for me with the Japanese, it's just so harder to find misprints because I don't know what I'm looking for 100%. So like maybe I'll see a hollow bleed or like a symbol will be missing or like a rarity symbol will be missing. But in terms of that, I don't know, I don't understand the wording. So there's probably still some misprints between the wording every now and then on Japanese cards that we don't catch. Centering's definitely off. Same thing with the back, but nothing crazy, and doesn't look like there's any whiting, so that's pretty good. We're going to say 9 to 10. It's just the centering's not atrocious, and everything else in the card is perfect. So 9 to 10. 10 would be fantastic. That's what we want. I am thinking though that if the PSA does not offer a quarterly special for Pokemon cards soon, I will never use the PSA ever again. I don't know how that they're better than Beckett. From what I've seen, I prefer what Beckett has to offer. Sorry, some of this is because I got dumb and I thought there was a special way you could put stuff into cards and sleeves. Now, the issue with Jolteon that I have, and this is really with Jolteon and Vaporeon, whatever they use for their hollow foil background is super susceptible to scratches. So when there isn't scratch, it looks beautiful. Will look like this all the way around. However, there is scratches on this one, so you can catch them if I hold it in the light. But if you hold it just right, looks beautiful. But then when I start to tilt it other ways, you can see all the scratches. There's some silvering. Centering looks pretty solid left to right regardless. Okay. There's really not too much whiting. Really not any. And centering on the back is a lot better. So really all we have is some minor scratches in the hollow foil. We're going to guess 8 to 9. No, we're going to guess 8 to 10. Just the scratches are so minor, and I'm pretty certain PSA is aware that Jolteon is super susceptible to scratches in the hollow foil. So we're going to say 8 to 10. We think it will probably come back a 9. This is Blossom. Blossom seems to be like a pretty common pull in Neo Genesis, so I happen to get quite a few Blossoms. Nice little swirl to the left. Centering looks pretty solid. Doesn't look like there's any scratches on the hollow foil at all, which is fantastic. Some minor whiting on the back, very minor. I'm gonna say 9 to 10. Really, I'm thinking 10, but there is some flaws, but it's incredibly minor. So we'll say 9 to 10. Really more on the 10 side on that one though. Okay, and then we got Missy's Tentacruel, and I wish this one was in better condition. I seem to have a really hard time finding this in really solid condition, but there's a bunch of micro scratches in it. You can see it now. Definitely a very imposing Pokemon, that look. The centering is a little thicker on the top than it should be. A little nick right there. We're already kind of in the 8s. Hopefully there's nothing wrong with the back. There's some whiting on the back, up and down. We're gonna say 7 to 8. I'll be surprised if it goes below 7, but then again, there is a lot of micro scratches in that hollow foil. So who knows? So we're more on the 7 for that one, but hoping to get an 8. We obviously want higher, but Now this next one, these are kind of a hit or miss because even though these are really neat cards and they were kind of the first of its kind with having the WB kits and having extra writing and not being hollow, they don't go for a whole lot unless you get them exactly in PSA 10. But they're still a future investment in my opinion, as long as they're PSA 8 and above, which this one should be about PSA 8 to 9. So that's what we'll run it down as. 10 would have been nice, but definitely not. There's no hollow foil, so I think they're going to grade harder on the rest of the card. It's kind of a rumor, but I kind of can understand it. So we'll say 8 to 9. Next we have a few shinies coming up. However, they're not really big hitters, but they are shinies nevertheless. And they're all pretty much in perfect condition, except for some bordering here. Top to bottom, left to right, definitely off-centered. I see what people mean when they say the print runs for this card, not this card, but this set was not very good. Yeah, the bordering's pretty atrocious. Everything else about the card is pretty solid. Geez, the bordering is so bad. We have to put ourselves down to the 8-9s versus just saying solid 9. So we'll write down 8 to 9 for him. This one I believe is in better condition in terms of its centering. So we've got Celestial, shiny. Everything's pretty solid. Centering's definitely better on the front and the back, and there's no whiting. So we're going to give this one a 10, which is what we want. Fantastic. Beautiful. Just gorgeous. Give that one a 10. Hold on, foot's asleep. Okay, and then we got Kartana, which, as I understood, Kartana was more of a sword, but I guess it's paper. I guess just sharp paper. And then centering's a little off all around. Nothing else wrong with the front. Centering's off on the back. No whiting. We'll give it a 9 to 10, see how it goes. The centering's not atrocious, but it is definitely off. So we are hoping for that 10, but we'll say 9 to 10. Okay, we got a Zerkatry, which I think is a really cool way to spell something. Including that X in there. Centering's a little off. Nothing too nuts, but off. Noticeable. Don't know if they're going to count that as whiting. It's not really whiting. It's more just like how the card was made. It's not wear. It's really the difference between whiting and card making, in my opinion. We're going to say 9 to 10. Can't say a solid 10, but we can say 9 to 10 and see how that goes. And granted, guys, remember, the PSA doesn't see what we're guessing, so it doesn't really matter. Now, I don't know which set this Jirachi falls under. I know it's got a little bow here, and I don't even know if I classify it as a hollow or a reverse hollow, because although it's not necessarily like there's a pattern going on in the back in terms of hollowness, it is hollow, and then also the card itself is hollow. But I'll do some research and figure out which Jirachi this is, but the rest of everything else is in order. Back is also in order. Oh, there is a tad bit of whiting on both bottom corners. We'll say 9. 8 to 9. There's more whiting than I wish there was. It was about to be a 10, that's for sure. You know what, we'll say 8 to 10. Hope for the best. Now, what sucks for this is this card looks really neat. Clearly there's something neat about it, because it has this really cool, I guess, like Poke Leaf symbol. And then on top of that, I don't know if we even call this reverse hollow or some sort of special hollow it has. It's the only card I've seen like this. The thing that sucks is there is a gigantic little bump at the top that there is no recovering from. Centering's pretty solid. Definitely seems like it's a unique card. I know the Pokemon isn't super sought after, but it is from a unique series. Now, that big bump does really take us down, so we'll probably just guess a 7. Which, you know, sucks. Alright, we have an Ampharos. I think the reason why people like Ampharos so much, now that I think about it, is that he's 1 of 111. So he's 1 and people just like weird things like that. So this one is not in perfect condition. Ooh, he has a lot of stuff looking at him now. Closer in the light out of his borders. He's got dents, pinholes. He's got tons of micro scratches on his hollow foil. He's off-centered. He may require an emergency replacement. Let us see. Let's take a little bit more looking. He is beat all around. I think we'll send him in and we'll see what happens. It is not our favorite to see this. Oof, he may be down to the 3s to 4s. Oh man, I think we are going to put him to the side and we are going to do an emergency replacement. It happens, folks. It happens. Let's see who we have for emergency replacement. Okay. Cult classic. Nidoking. And I say cult classic because even though Nidoking isn't Charizard, it's really kind of interesting. A lot of people really like that whole king in his name. I think this is actually a Nidoking from my original collection, not one that I've purchased from someone else. Pretty solid shape. Centering's not bad. Little dirt or something. Hollow foil's pretty solid. Minor scratches. The back is pretty solid. We're going to say 9. That's our guess. And we gotta do some writing. Sorry guys, it's gonna take us a second. It really sucks. I was hoping that Ampharos would come out well. It definitely looks good in his sleeve. Here, I'll show you what I mean while I'm writing stuff down. He looks pretty solid in his top loader, but that is how it works, folks. And this is why you have people take cards out of sleeves and top loaders when you're buying them to include binder sleeves and yeah, especially if they're expensive cards. I strongly suggest that you take the time to see what you're buying. He's going to be put to the side. Now this one should be in pretty good condition. This is another Ampharos. Same one, just Japanese. As far as I'm tracking, it's in solid condition. Yeah, it's much nicer, much cleaner, much nicer to look at. Centering's good. The back is solid, no whiting. We're going to guess 10. Just taking a closer look at the hollow foil. Yeah, we're going to guess 10 for this guy. That's good. It's good makeup for that one being not good. That one was really bad. It wasn't, and it's not the worst card, folks. It doesn't have tears, and it doesn't have creases. It does have a little bump in it. It does have some whiting. It is off-centered. It does have some scratches from the wax removal. It does have some scratches in its hollow foil. It's not the worst card. It's just definitely probably not worth PSA rating. Even in a long-term investment, I'd probably have to wait 80 years to make out with that. Okay, so this is a non-hollow first edition Fossil Magmar. Pretty solid condition. Centering looks pretty good. Some whiting on the back. Nothing crazy. We're going to say 8. I think that's a fair guess. I would say 7, 8, but I don't want to jinx it. We're just going to say 8. Come on. Magmar was a cool Pokemon because he was definitely different. He really wasn't like an animal. He was like a platypus human fire thing. And alright, so this is Promo Eevee. Definitely a cool hollow foil background, and it really kind of embodies Jolteon, Vaporeon, and Flareon. If you didn't get that, this was kind of when he came out. Those were still the only 3 dogs you could be. So you got red, yellow, and blue here. If no one ever caught on to that, that's why it's there. There is definitely some scratches, really noticeable scratches. But the rest of the card looks to be in pretty good condition. A little bit thicker on the top than it is on the bottom. Some minor whiting, super minor. The scratches in the hollow foil, I think, is what's going to get us. And some whiting here and there. Yeah, geez. It's a lot of very sort of like intense scratches. we don't want to have to do this, but we'll say 5 to 6. I know it's probably like, why do it, but we don't want to keep doing emergency cards on the channel, and I think Eevee will pay out more than Ampharos, and I don't think Ampharos was going to be anything higher than a 5 or even get a 5. Ampharos was probably looking more like a 4, believe it or not. But we'll hold on to him, wait till we get some grades back in about 10 years from now and see what happens, and regardless, he'll still go up in value via raw versus being graded, and of course graded will just make him worth more depending on the collectability behind him. I know Ampharos is sought out after, but it is what it is. Sorry guys, no real rant or controversy, just getting this lot done and making this video, and hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something. I know I don't have too much to teach, I'm still learning myself, but you got to see some close-ups of some older cards, some newer cards. Actually, no, I think, yeah, there was some newer cards. There was those shinies were sort of newer cards. Technically, in my opinion, once you're however many sets behind, they're kind of technically old. It's kind of like iPhone 6 when we're on iPhone 12 Ultra stuff. So this still hasn't been shot on my iPhone 12. I can't wait to get it. But still, I think it came out clear on the iPhone 8. I hope y'all enjoyed. I definitely want to try and make sure I'm bringing stuff that y'all want to see. And I can't wait to get the grades back. I know y'all might be, excited in anticipation for when the grades come back. But trust me, as a person who has the cards, I am in super anticipation for when all these grades come back. I can't wait. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Bye.